Hey guys, it's Maymay and welcome back to another top tip. And today's top tip has to do with border punches. It's not a single tip, it's more of a best practices with border punches. And here's where it came from. When Jordan came to work for us and he started editing my videos and he saw me using these border punches, he said to me one day, "Hey, how do you use those?" And I was like, that's a really good video to film. I've never done that. So let me show you. I brought this one over to show you something in a second. We'll get to it in a few minutes because it's a little more detailed. This is a large border punch. If you've never seen one before, first off, you're going to fall in love. This is a warning. You're going to want to buy every one you see, and I don't blame you because I do as well. This is a punch that will allow you to create something that looks like film strip. Okay, notice how there's the image here and it continues out on either side. That is to show you what the entire strip will look like. As a matter of fact, here's a sample here. Now, if we look at the bottom, you can see that the punch is there. You can see the shape that's going to be punched out. So let me show you what this looks like when you punch it. So I've got a little strip. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of center my strip just by eyeball. And this is one of the best practice parts. You have to make sure when you make your first punch especially that you have it all the way into the stopper here. There is a little stopper like we have on our, oh, there I am. Hello. There's a little stopper like we have on our our trimmers, I should say, like our paper trimmers, and you want to make sure that paper's in there. Something I do is I put my paper in and I actually turn my punch up like this so I know my cardstock is resting on that edge, and then I punch. And these bigger ones can sometimes be more difficult. I also want to show you this. See these pieces right here? That is not throwaway. These are great pieces that you can use for something. And let's say one day you needed a rectangle punch. Remember that your movie strip punch off punches a rectangle. So if you need a rectangle, there it is. So I'm gonna put those aside. Now let me show you what we got. Look how cool that is. It's really cool looking, right? But now the question is, how do we extend it out? Well, this is so easy. Are you ready? I'm going to put my cardstock back in. I'm going to let it drop to that cutting, that protector area, okay? And then from one side, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to slide this guy out, and I'm going to line this cut up with that silver design. Did you see how? Let me move it where it's not. Okay, here you can tell I'm a little off. See that space between the silver? What you want to do is you want that silver or the white, depending on what your punch looks like, to fill up the open space of the border. That lets you know you're in the right spot to make your next punch. Also, again, I lift this up. When it's a border punch like this, I can lift it up. So I'm going to lift it up and make that punch, okay? So you see how it just continues out? Isn't that awesome? Now, for the other side, I would go to the other edge. So I'm going to line it up the same way, just like that. And then I'm going to lift this guy up, make the next punch. And you see, well, I punched in the same spot. Let's do it again. I should have gone a little further. So we'll go a little further, line that up, and then make my next punch. Now we will have continued it. Isn't that cool as all get out? I love border punches. And look, I have all these little rectangles and polka dots. By the way, those little polka dots are perfect confetti for shaker cards. Do not think that that's not a good thing to have. If you have some little jars that you can put those little offcuts in, it's a good idea. Now, of course, with this one, when I'm finished with it, or even before, I could measure this and make the exact right size strip to put in there. With this one, what I would do is just put it into my trimmer, about like that, and then I would trim away the excess, and then I would have for myself a pretty good looking film strip for my cards or my scrapbooking. I love film strip for scrapbooking. I think it's really cute. Now then, let's talk about this guy, which can be extremely problematic. If you have this punch, you know what I'm talking about. The more delicate the punch is, the harder to continue it on the perfect pattern it is. Let me show you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put this in just like I do any other. I'm going to let it drop to that little cutting bar, and then I'm going to punch, okay? Look how delicate this is. Look how tiny the offcut is. Very tiny. Probably not something I would save. I've never saved those pieces. Now here's the issue. Because this one is so different, on our film strip, when it cut, it left us this nice, even, straight border. This one does not. This is where you run into problems. What I have to do with this one that's different is, you can see here, when I slide this out to match it up on the next lines, I'm okay for a second, and here's why. You see that straight piece is still touching my cut bar, and I have a straight piece here still touching. Watch what happens on my next one. So I've punched that one and everything's cool. But now, when I continue out, now I could go the other way, by the way, but I'm doing this to show you what happens. As you continue out, now I don't have that edge to lay flat. And if I'm not careful, when I punch, I'll get an off, like an off even punch. So what I do is I line this up in that pattern on the end there. I make sure I get it as close as I can to that pattern, and I hold it here. The other thing I do, since I still have a little straight here, is I make sure that is pressed against up there. Okay, now when I do this, I should get a nice even continuation. I did. Very good. But see how I need to continue out? And if I were to let this angle, and now it's hidden underneath where I can't see it, although I can flip it over, but I'm showing you this. Now what I have to do is I have to line this up. And because I can't press it against the cut bar or this little stop, I have to hold it with my thumb to continue this punch out. Let me show you what happens when you don't do it just right. This one is the one that if I'm going to use it, I struggle the most with. So here I want to show you, I want to be just a little bit off. So I'm a little bit off over there. And if I punch now, it doesn't, well, I try to mess up on these videos and sometimes I can't. But sometimes I can punch. Let's do it a little deeper. Let's see if it'll help if I do that. Yeah, this will do it, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. See how these holes in the middle, let me put some color behind it so you can see. See how these holes right here are off size? They're a little bigger, and that's hard to see, and I would not stress about this. I would still use it. But if you keep getting off with your punching, those will get worse and worse. So the tip for this is, when you get down here where you don't have a place to support it, the best thing to do is to line your pattern up on one end, make sure your pattern's right, and then hold that in place, making sure that if you do have any straight edge, you've pushed it against the cut bar, and then punch, and you'll get a nice continuation every time. I want to try to mess it up like I do. Anytime I'm trying to mess this up, I can't, but when I do this myself, I mess up all the time. Let's see if that did it. Yeah, a little bit. You know what I'm talking about. If you use this punch, you've had that mistake. Now we got that little bit left to punch right there. You can always flip it this way, but I find it harder to line up on the underneath, and I think it's because of my eyes. I've got over 40 eyes, and I'm kind of feeling that. So, oh, see right there how I didn't get it just right, how it's a little bit wonky. See it? Ugh. When I try to make mistakes, it doesn't look like it, but I promise if you use this punch, you know. So the best thing to do here is to line the pattern up, ignore the rest, because if you push it to that rest, it's not going to be right. So ignore the rest, line the pattern up, and then punch. And with this one, take your time. When you have these little fine punches like this, you have to slow down. You cannot rush through these. All right, guys, that is how to use border punches and my best practices for those little tiny, delicate little border punches. You have to really take your time on those, especially this one. Oh, you can really see it there. Hold on, look. See how now you can't. Maybe it's like this. There it is. See how the pattern changes right here? That's what I'm talking about. You have to be sure that you hold this in place when you make that punch. See how chunky those are? Anyway, lots of fun. I love border punches. I have a bazillion. I think they're great. I love them. I hope that you guys do too. And I hope that helps you with your border punching. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more top tips every Monday and Friday. Talk to you again real soon. Bye-bye.